This is a Tryx Stage AIO, a 360mm liquid cooler designed not only to cool your CPU, but to serve as a prominent visual element inside the PC build. According to Tryx, the Stage represents their move into AIO liquid cooling, extending the display-focused design direction they explored with Panorama into a more hands-on interactive form factor while keeping cooling performance as a core requirement. With the Panorama series, Tryx leaned into visual illusion through a curved AMO LED display. With the Stage, the approach shifts towards interaction and physical presence inside the system. The housing is built from high-precision CNC aluminum, giving it enough rigidity to support small figures or accessories placed directly on top, like Hot Wheel cars or other display pieces. But visuals alone don't justify an AIO. So once we open the box, the focus shifts to build quality, installation, and the cooling hardware itself. So one thing to note, already like with Tryx's other products, their boxes are already very sleek, very elegant. So let's dive right into it. Rat. Inside the box, you'll find a 360mm aluminum radiator connected by 420mm tubing to the pump and block assembly, with the integrated dual display stage and mounting hardware for both Intel and AMD platforms. The Stage supports Intel LGA 1851, 1700, 1200, and 115X, as well as AMD AIM4 and AIM5, covering most mainstream desktop sockets. As we can see from the packaging, it already has the Tryx Rota ARGB fans pre-installed. And then also, they already have thermal paste pre-installed. This is the main star of the show. This is the Stage. I was actually curious to see what this was, but after I got to visit them over at CES, I found out that this here is actually a locking tab. So it actually fits right into here on the water block to actually lock into this block here, so that way it doesn't have any way to get removed or shift around during shipping, which is really nice for SIs to actually have this feature, because one of the biggest fears is like having the stuff fall out during shipping. So very nice. So already firsthand, I can already see that the build quality from Tryx, just like all the rest of the products, is extremely high quality. So it looks like all the powder coating is looking really good too. All the mounting and everything for the fans, everything is pretty squared up. Now moving towards the hardware that they come with, everything is still also, pretty standard from what you get with all the other Asetek stuff if you installed like NZXT or some of the Asus products that use all Asetek. So it has like all their different mounting brackets that you put onto the water block with all the standoffs and everything. Water pump has your standard PWM connector that's probably going to be going into AIO pump. And then for the Stage, what's really nice to see here is I know that they explained to me over at CES that these actually have their own processor and RAM, so you don't have like those delays that you have with some other displays from like different AIOs. This one is using USB and SATA, so everything's really straightforward. If you build PCs pretty regularly, this is a pretty straightforward installation. The nice thing with their Rota ARGB fans is pretty clean installation. They all kind of interlink together utilizing these contact pads. Let's see if you can pick that up on the camera here. And then they give you one harness that actually just has the PWM fan connector and also your ARGB connector. Also comes with their A01 thermal paste. So they already have pre-installed thermal paste already here, and then they give you some extra thermal paste. That's pretty nice, actually. Nice Velcro cable ties to get your cable management done with some of these cables. Back in the day when you would have every single fan have different PWM connectors and, like daisy chain harnesses, the ARGB. So you'd have like a mess of cables where that would be a really big issue, but this is, very minimalistic. So some things to note about the radiator and the actual AIO cooling portion of this. All the fins, they have really good density, so that way you can provide a lot of good cooling. And also the fin alignment, nothing is bent out of the packaging, so that means everything's pretty much packaged well. The tubing is very nice and flexible, and as much as you bend it, nothing kinks, which is actually really nice. So if you have to do any weird routing, for example, in like some cases where like the AIO is mounted in different places, or your traditional mounting, it looks like that these tubes are not only just a good length, but also very good material. What's also nice too is near the pump, these fittings actually swivel so that way you don't get kinks depending on like the placement that you have. I know when you have sometimes the AIO mounted in this orientation, these tubes sometimes are like in the way like this, but because they can swivel, you can actually push them down so that way they have better visibility, especially because of the stage. The actual cold plate, this one is a pretty large area, especially for AM5, LGA 1700 and the 1851. One of the biggest concerns is not having enough surface area for the cold plate to actually make contact with the CPU's IHS. So this one looks very much that it'll cover the entire IHS of any CPU that this is compatible with. Speaking directly about the fans, the fan blade rigidity, it's pretty standard. Curious to see exactly for the performance of how these do with static pressure or like what CFM they kind of push. So we'll see once we fire this up, and we'll be installing this into the PC to see how loud these fans are. Let's take a closer look at the display itself. The stage uses two 4-inch IPS panels running at 60 Hz, arranged at a 90-degree angle. This layout allows the visuals to span across both screens while still leaving a usable surface on top of the unit. Another important detail is how the display system is handled internally. The screen runs on an embedded, dedicated 4-core processor that operates independently from the operating system. That means visuals, animations, and telemetry are processed locally by the cooler rather than relying on the system's CPU. The base of the stage includes a magnetically attached panel that can be flipped between a mirrored finish and a matte surface. Display customization is handled through Tryx's Canali software, which supports video playback, system monitoring, and background customization. The different display modes control how information and visuals are laid out across the two panels. The intent here is flexibility, giving builders options for how information and visuals are presented without losing sight of the fact that this is still a cooling component first. Canali is already available on other Tryx products, but the version used here is specific to the stage and still in development. There are 3 display modes available: Widescape mode, which stretches visuals across both panels; Split mode, which separates system monitoring from visual content; Mirror mode, intended for more ambient or symmetrical presentation across both screens. Cooling on the stage is handled by an Asetek Sigrid V2 pump head. This is familiar Asetek platform, which gives us a known baseline in terms of design approach, behavior, and long-term reliability. Asetek is one of the most widely known used OEMs in liquid cooling, with pump designs found in many high-end AIOs across the industry, including models like the Asus ROG Ryujin 3, the Lianli Galahad 2, and many NZXT products. The Sigrid V2 focuses on stable coolant flow instead of pushing aggressive peak pump speeds. It operates across a range of roughly 800 to 2800 RPM, aiming to balance cooling capability and controlled acoustic behavior. Inside the block, a copper cold plate with a microfin structure increases surface contact with the coolant. This design is intended to improve heat transfer and help temperatures settle more consistently under sustained load. During testing, the focus will be on how temperatures scale as load increases, how the pump sounds across different operating ranges, and whether behavior remains consistent over time. Now that we're a little bit more familiar with the product itself, we're going to install the stage into my personal PC. Looks like we need to change over this. So this guy here, this one's going to be what we're going to be using, which is the AMD. So I've just popped open the instruction manual here that was inside the accessories box. So got everything nicely displayed and laid out over here with all the pictures that you need. So got all the package contents, made sure everything came with a cooler. We're going to be following this one over here for AMD. So we did the first step already. We swapped over the mounting bracket for the pump so they can mount to the motherboard. We already have these already removed, so we're just going to be putting on the standoffs, and then it's pretty simple. Just mount on the cooler and then get this thing tightened down to spec. Then we're gonna just mount the radiator to the case. So we're gonna remove some just gonna be mounting the radiator to this modular plate for the case. So I just gotta preset a couple screws here. Oh, we gotta mount these. Looks like the knurlings on these here. Yeah, they gotta go either up for AM5 or down for AM4. So I already got thermal paste pre-installed. So we're gonna tighten this down, kind of like in a star pattern, so that way it has even pressure during mounting. This is the PWM connector that's going to be powering the pump. Connected that to CPU fan. I know there's an AIO pump header on the actual motherboard. What I've been always doing is connecting that to CPU fan, and then in the BIOS I set the fan speed to 80% so that it can set a static duty cycle for the pump. Next, we're going to be installing the actual stage. So we're going to just peel off, you know, some of the protective films that we have on here. So, and little tab so you can grab them. Ooh, super shiny. There you go, just like that. I'm going to lock it, and now it's secured. We'll be taking these cables, nice. So we'll go up through here. So you may have thought I forgot to install this, but it's actually one thing I wanted to highlight. So this is actually magnetic, so it's actually really easy to install. So the connectors that I need to are all right here. So all I need to do is just pop through side over here, grab the connector, and pop it on, just like that. And it's connected. That's simple. We're just going to be connecting this PWM fan connector to a CHA fan header. I have a couple harnesses in the back to make it kind of easy. And then it has this, which is an ARGB connector, which is just going to connect to an ARGB header on the motherboard. Two less connectors. This is for the display. It needs to connect to USB and then also SATA power. So now with the AIO fully installed, we're going to do the first startup and see how it looks. See the screen boot up in there? We got the Tryx boot sequence. First things first, after it's already powered up, the only noise I can really hear, I mean, everything's on idle right now. You hear kind of like a high pitch, like ringing coming from the pump. Very normal. I've had this on almost all of my Asetek AIOs, some louder than others, so this one is pretty quiet. We'll get into stress testing in a little bit. Got a little Honda S2000. As some people know, I'm really big into motorsports. I have an 01 Honda S2000 in Grand Prix White myself, so I wanted to choose this one because I got the color scheme of this one, all kind of like red and purple, has some blues in there, so this was just kind of match the build, kind of emphasize on some of the nice reds inside the build. Our friends over at Tryx, they sent us over the Canali software that could run the stage. It's in beta form right now. Installation went pretty smooth. Some of the installation was in another language. I couldn't really read it, but we got through it. So we got it installed. So we're gonna go in here, just kind of play around. Everything is super like snappy and super fast because of its dedicated 4-core processor in there. When you look into Task Manager, it takes very, very little resources because everything is all essentially housed with its own hardware. Just absolutely awesome for this thing because the software just works super, super well. In the software, there's some really awesome customization that you can do. You could screen record, so if you have like Wallpaper Engine, or if you want to record like a video or something like that, you can capture it and auto upload it right to the software, which just makes this thing just infinitely customizable. So you can just really get this fine-tuned for exactly what you want. Alright, as simple as that, I just looked up a quick like Cyberpunk City kind of like GIF and upload it right to the software, right in the customization, like the stage customization. I'm going to open up this guy here and set that right here, and it's complete. One really cool feature of this thing is just how this thing behaves. With Tryx's mag clamp mechanism, this can just unlock and you just pretty much remove it. It just has a magnet like you know, pretty much attaching it to the block and holding it while you lock it. But as you can see, because everything is powered on separately, everything just stays live, and you just kind of let fit it back on there and then lock it back in place, just like that. And it's that simple to just keep, you know, like removing or disconnecting or reinstalling it, and everything is just super stable. So a couple of notes after all this is all installed and completed. The software installation was very straightforward. You just run the executable and then install Canali onto your computer, and the setup was pretty seamless. And after we got to sit down with Canali for the stage and kind of navigated through the UI is extremely intuitive. Everything was right where it needed to be and exactly where you were kind of looking for. So it's really user-friendly. Changing between the modes, widescape, split, and mirrored, everything just works seamlessly, especially with like having that dedicated 4-core processor inside of the stage itself. It made everything extremely snappy and fast, and everything just worked on a click. The animation smoothness and also the telemetry behavior in Canali, everything just seamlessly worked. The most surprising thing to me was when I see AIOs that have like LCD screens, you start seeing a little bit of usage on CPU or like the RAM. When I look inside Task Manager, this is it's like a fraction of a percent. So this thing, because it has its own dedicated 4-core CPU and its own RAM, it completely offloads any use in your computer. So it having 2 screens that it could be separated to have like animation on one and like telemetry data on the other one or monitoring, this is something that I just think is so innovative. The behavior of the Tryx stage when you do restarts or shutdowns and you start up your PC back up again, exactly as you would want it to do, it saves your preset as you had it before, which is really nice. Overall, I think the build and also the UI for the software being extremely user-friendly, intuitive, is just something to really note about using any of the Tryx products. And now with the new stage, it's exactly what you want it to be and exactly what you could ask for. Now looking at the physical screens actually on the stage, you can see that it actually has adjustable brightness in the Canali software. And then also one thing to note for the viewing angles, when you look at it just moving left to right around the build, because the screens kind of have a glossy finish, you'll kind of see that when you get at a pretty intense angle from one of the screens. But overall, with the color accuracy and also the brightness of it, they're very consistent across both the screens. So next, testing includes Cinebench multi-core stress tests alongside extended gaming workloads. The goal here isn't just to capture peak temperatures, but to see how the stage behaves once the system settles into a sustained load. That means we're going to be watching the CPU temperatures, clock behavior, and package power over time, while also paying attention to how the fans and the pump ramp up and respond. For testing, we're going to take a look at the idle temperature. This thing has been idling for about 10-15 minutes now. This is an AMD Ryzen 7 9800X3D, which is an 8-core 16-thread processor. This thing has been idling consistently at 39 degrees Celsius, and it's been bouncing around just between like 2.6 to 5.5 gigahertz. Next, we're going to be running a multi-core test on Cinebench R23. Rather than focusing only on like the decibel numbers, I'm also going to be paying attention to the actual noise coming from the PC, from an actual user standpoint. So I do have this a bit overclocked. This thing at full load on the multi-core test is getting up to about 87 degrees Celsius. And seeing how this one was at 100%, I mean, those Rota RGB fans are pretty quiet. They're not too bad. I normally have this system configured in a push-pull configuration with Noctua 120mm fans. So later on, I'll probably install those and kind of see it. It's probably going to get much louder because obviously a lot more fans, but a lot better performance. But seeing how this one only went up to about 87 degrees, this is more than capable, especially even with the pre-applied thermal paste. So the temperatures were really stable during the test. They weren't fluctuating or spiking. So once it was under load, it stayed up at a high, at the higher temperature. And then once it was done, it kind of came down. And also to note, this testing isn't about chasing the leaderboard results. It's about confirming that the stage can deliver stable, repeatable cooling performance while supporting a more interactive, design-driven AIO concept. Thus far, just using this during the installation, I found that the installation of the AIO was extremely straightforward. I think the design of the stage is not only just robust, but it's also extremely appealing to the eyes with the screens and with the versatility of the use case, with both like the bottom of the stage could be matte or also reflective. You could change the monitoring on the display, or use any GIFs or awesome wallpapers. Use case of the software was easy to install, and also navigating through all of the Canali software for the stage has been extremely intuitive, which is something that I really liked. Even through the beta software, everything was extremely snappy and felt, you know, right up to speed is where it should be. Compared to a lot of other softwares that I've used, this has been working really well. The actual performance of the AIO, utilizing Cinebench R23 on this AMD Ryzen 7 9800X 3D, it having a max load with the pre-applied thermal paste on the cooling plate of only 87 degrees Celsius was actually pretty phenomenal. Previous AIOs were right about there, so seeing this perform, you know, just in that same area was really phenomenal to see. The pump does have a little bit of a high-pitched ring to it, but it's very, very faint. When the PC is all on, and I'm pretty sure if I have the glass panel on, it will really reduce that sound a lot. The pre-installed Rota ARGB fans are actually a lot quieter than I thought. So, and just kind of feeling over the top of my PC, these push quite a bit amount of air. So I don't doubt their cooling performance at all. It's actually cooling really well. So overall, I think the Stage, especially for the price point that it's going to be set at, is going to be a product that's going to take this market by storm. So with its innovative design and its versatility to really, you know, create this new vibe for a build with the level of customizability, this is about as good as it gets. I mean, what more could you ask for? I mean, this is something that, you know, hasn't been on the market before. It's something completely new and innovative, and it can really tie in a lot of your color themes into the PC. There's just so much screen space, and not only that, but be able to put, you know, like a Funko Pop or like a Hot Wheel car, and just kind of have like a really cool background. Like this is, it's cool. So this about concludes this video of our first unboxing and review of the Tryx Stage 360mm AIO. Let me know in the comments below of what you think about the Tryx Stage and if you are going to get one in your build. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.